Hi, welcome to an art class. So this is class for April 7th. We're going to have one of these classes every Tuesday at 10:30 for pre-AP 9th grade art. There's a few reasons why I feel like you guys should get on them, because of course I'm going to record them and I'm going to post the replay. But honestly, if you aren't able to make it to class, you're just going to have to watch the recording anyway. And so I feel like it's really good accountability for you as students to just show up for the class, and that way you know what's going on. You don't have any questions. If you do have a question, you're able to ask, and it just makes it a little bit easier for all of us, right? And so I think that it's going to be really important for everybody to get on. Plus, I want to see your faces. I'm going to be really honest. I was not like super upset at first whenever I found out the news, but then like I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about all the things that we were going to miss out on at the end of this year, like the art show and our field trip and stuff like that. And that makes me really sad, because y'all are my 9th grade pre-P. I love y'all. You're my people. And so I want to see your faces still, and I want to continue having the community that's really great about art classes, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And again, this is kind of a new thing for me too, so bear with me if I have any weird technical difficulties. I wasn't great at technology before this. Okay, so your last project was all based on surrealism. I'm going to show you some of the things people turned in. Honestly, I started crying whenever I opened Arsonia, because I had seen who had turned stuff in, but I hadn't really looked at them. And then I was like, oh my gosh, pre-AP is still doing awesome. And so part of surrealism is this dreamlike state. And so I posted this in the Google Classroom, and I'm going to continue posting artists and things for you guys to look at in the Google stream. So make sure you're watching that. But this artist's name is Tommy Fung. He's a surrealistic artist. And I wanted to show you, he's a photographer that does photo editing, right? But what's really cool about contemporary artists is that they often have Instagram pages now, so you can check out some of their behind the scenes work, some of their work in real time. And I wanted to show you guys, he's creating work that's kind of in response to the coronavirus pandemic. And so he's from Hong Kong, and he's taken images from the subway of the city and started editing them and making commentary on what's happening in the world right now. So new type of mask or new type of infection. What does this one say? Is this related to that? Oh, how the economy looks like in Hong Kong and the world right now. Like, it's not funny, but it's kind of just making light of our shared experiences as humans throughout this. And something that I'm going to try to make sure that I do with you guys is keep it relevant and keep it with the world right now, because I feel like that makes art more interesting, right? So the most disturbing green object, that's kind of related, but not really. And even just like some kind of inspiring content. You know, it sucks to be stuck at home, but don't lose hope, and this is going to get better soon. The next level of protective gear and self-isolation. And so I feel like it just kind of brings in that shared experience. He was already a surrealistic artist. He was already creating these weird dreamlike photographs and splicing them together. But now he's making art about the world in his own way, which I think is really interesting. And this is one of his artworks as well. So it's a bunch of people like reaching for masks, and it has like the Corona beer up here. It says Surreal Hong Kong right here. There's all these little details in it that I think are really interesting. And so, and it's kind of ironic too, because there's all these people gathering trying to get these masks. And yeah, it just makes the art more meaningful, right? Like, it's great if you can paint a pretty picture of a tree, but somehow it hits different when it's something that you can relate to. And this is something that as human race, we can all relate to this affecting us right now. So famous surrealistic artists are Salvador, Dali, and Rene Magritte. If you kind of like the idea of dreamlike artwork and you want some art history people to look up, definitely look those up. And I'm going to share with you guys this slideshow in Google Classroom, because I want you to be able to check out some of the things on it if you want to. But this is some of the art that you guys turned in. And so in the chat box, actually come in the chat box now. In the chat box, I want you to like type a number that you're intrigued by or that you feel like is really cool. I have to figure out how to pull up the chat box right here. Ooh, hey chat. It's okay that you're in your PJs, Cadence. I won't make you be on the screen. 3, 2. I'm waiting for more of you guys to comment. I'm just going to talk about some of the ones I found really intriguing. Honestly, all of them. And I think what's really cool about these artworks in general is that I wanted to continue looking at them. They made me smile. They made me happy to see. They made me happy to see what you guys are creating. And there's a lot of little details in everybody's artwork that makes it really interesting. So if you look at like this tiger down here, like what is going on in the background? So you kind of want to look more and kind of see what's up. I think it's a tiger turning into a dandelion. If I'm looking at this one up here, I'm like, oh, I love how the different parts are spliced together. If I'm looking at this one right here, I love how it's commenting on the virus right now and what's going on in the world. I'm looking at all the details that are in the background here, and I think that that's what can be really interesting too about looking at things digitally. It's like I am now seeing, like I usually see y'all's artwork in front of me and I see the whole process, and now I'm just able to look at it and be like, wow, this is the final product. I wonder how they got there. And so because of that, make sure when you upload to Artsonia, I do want you to do the artist statement questions, because I want to know a little bit about your process and what you came up with. Okay, so does anybody feel uncomfortable unmuting? I'm gonna say Logan. Logan, do you feel comfortable unmuting and telling us like why you're intrigued by number 2?
Well, I just like the colors and how it like blends together really nicely. And it's something that would like make me stop and look at it for a long time.
Yeah, so what I really love about number 2, and Hunter, if you want to unmute in a minute and tell us too, is like there's this circle right here and it's echoing over here, and it's just really well balanced with color and composition. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even feel like I necessarily need to, but I want to look at it. And that's like another interesting thing about digital, is you can kind of take a step back and think, okay, like, is that a balanced artwork, right? Does anybody else want to unmute and talk about the one that they found intriguing? I'm going to call on somebody. Madeline, do you want to unmute?
I like number 7 because it's just like, it kind of relates to the world right now.
I feel that too. And I think that, oh gosh, I think that, again, like, artwork is awesome because it can relate to what we're doing right now, or it can relate to something else, or it can take your mind off it, or it can make you laugh. Like, there's a lot of different ways that art can be really valuable right now. And even though we're not going to be doing really in-depth projects on here because we're not trying to overload y'all with work during this time, I really encourage everybody to keep creating things because it can make you feel better. For me, like, I'm not a meditator or anything like that, but creating artwork is kind of like a meditation. It gets my mind off of other things in the world, and it makes me feel less stressed, especially if I'm not creating it for a project. You know, it can just be a doodle. It can just be something for me. So we're going to move on with that, but next week we're going to talk like a little bit more in depth about everybody's. Okay, so the next little project here. I'm going to X out of this group chat. Next little project here is play with your food. So every project that we do, some of it's going to be photography based, some of it's going to be drawing based, but I mentioned this in the call from last week, and if you haven't watched that replay yet, you definitely need to watch it. But everything's going to be done with stuff around your house, and it's only going to take 20 to 30 minutes just due to the fact that, again, we don't want to overload you with work. So we're not going to be able to do like super in-depth assignments, but again, keep creating and doing those things by yourself. But I'm intrigued by how we can use the things in our house. If I just assume that all you have is a pencil and piece of paper and the stuff around you, then what can we do with that? So play with your food or any random object of your choosing. Hello. Okay. So there's 2 different artists that I wanted to highlight. I'm going to move. I keep having to move y'all's heads. Okay. So one is Giuseppe Arcimboldo, I think is how you say it. And he is a historical artist. He created these portraits out of food and out of people's faces, which I like, out of food to make people's faces and make portraiture, which I think is really cool. I always love like the concept of making things out of something else. And then this other artist, Terry Border, who makes figures and things with more human-like qualities, or bugs or something like that, with food or with things around his home. So this is Giuseppe Arcimboldo. He was creating art in the 1500s, and he is Italian. He's best known for creating these portrait heads, flowers, fruit, fish, just things that he found in the world around him to create portraits. And this is Terry Border. He's a photographer from Indiana, and he creates these objects. He calls them bent figures, and they take on human characteristics. So he anthropomorphizes. That word means giving something human characteristics or giving something human qualities. He anthropomorphizes characters and things that he can find just in his day-to-day life. So he's a photographer, but he's still creating things and then taking photos of it. And he uses these photographs to create children's books. And so here's an example of one called Milk Goes to School, which I think is cute. And here's some kind of up close example. So this is a banana with a little tiny chainsaw, and he has little paper clips for arms, which I think is adorable. And this is a nail polish figure that's using wire to walk her nail clipper dogs. And that's kind of related to each other. So I think they're really clever. So what you're going to do is you're going to create an image or scene. And again, you guys are pre-P, like this isn't the assignment that I'm giving all my classes, so I'm giving you a little bit more of a creative challenge, utilizing objects that you can find around your house, and then you're going to photograph it with your phone or a digital camera. It says our digital camera, but I think most of you guys have a phone, or your parents have a phone. You can be inspired by the artist that I showed you. You can make a portrait. You can make something that makes a statement. I'm going to talk about that in a minute too, or just something that you think is silly and fun. Be creative. So once you photographed it, you just you upload it directly to Arsonia. And I posted the Arsonia code in the Google Classroom. You don't need a pin anymore. It should be really easy to upload that, especially if you're able to get the app. And for bonus, make it a spoof. Make it of something that relates to the problems, the things that we're going through in the world. So make it like kind of coronavirus inspired. So if you're stuck on what to use, you can use paper clips, foods, googly eyes, toys, tools, silverware, objects found in nature, cleaning supplies, shoes, books, paper, literally anything you can think of. It might be that you have to jot down some ideas. It might be that you have to walk around your house. It might be that you have to think about this a little bit. But again, this is a really good moment for us to flex our creative muscles, and the fact that, like, if we only have our house, if we don't have an art teacher with us, if we have to figure things out on our own, like, it takes a little bit of trial and error, and sometimes it takes a little bit of not knowing what the heck to do at first. Am I right? I wanted to show you guys Terry Border's Instagram, which is the second artist that I showed you. Obviously, the artist from the 1500s does not have an Instagram, but you can look up some of his work. But this is Terry Border's Instagram right now, and again, it's really cool that we can keep up with artists. Artists and creatives are having a moment right now because they're able to still work from their home. And so some of his artwork that's newer is just artwork that he's made. He's doing lives where he's reading his children's books to students. I mean, some of his artwork is related to the pandemic, or is related to the fact that he's staying at home. So these are little bell pepper people, and they're looking at this art book, and he said he's looking forward to visiting art again. Utensils on the run. I just think it's really cool. And I know that he did. Here's a little hand sanitizer bottle and people that are on it. They're like little figurines. And so be creative in the way that you do this. Again, it can be with food. It can be with objects. You can look at these artists for inspiration. But again, look at them for inspiration and try to kind of do your own things out of it. If you are familiar with photo editing and you want to edit the photos, fantastic. But you don't have to. So class has been on for like 15 minutes. That's pretty much what we're going to do for this next week. The structure of this class, I talked about this last class, but is going to be, again, like first 10 minutes, we're going to talk about your other projects. We're going to kind of review things. We're going to talk as a class, and then the next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about like whatever you're going to do next. I'm trying to bounce back and forth for pre-P from like photography and creative thinking kind of stuff to drawing and creating kind of stuff, to give you a little break here and there. And then the last like 5 to 10 minutes are going to be open for questions until my next class. And so a few things I wanted you to consider, or just to know, again, we're not doing sketches anymore. If you want to do anything, again, please send it to me. I would love to see any artwork that you make. But our art show for the end of the year, since we're not going to be going back to school, I'm going to be using Arsonia and the pictures that I have of your artwork on there to create some kind of digital art show. And so a little bit closer to May, when we would typically have our art show, I'm going to be emailing you about artwork that you would like included in that. And I'm going to email it to your parents, and I'm going to email it to the school, and I'm going to have them share it. And so I'm going to try to maintain the integrity of what we've built in our class as much as I can online. And if you have an idea of like, use the stream. One thing that I really love my 7th and 8th graders are doing is that they're using the stream to like post artwork and make artwork and post it on their Google Classroom. So I think that that's really cool. So just think of ways that we can still kind of build community and keep in touch with each other. And if you're confused about an art project, for sure email me, but your art projects are going to be what I'm talking about right now. It's going to be posted as an assignment on Google Classroom. But again, I'm going to take your grade based off of what you upload to Arsonia. And that's just so if you're like, wait, what am I doing again? You can reference Google Classroom. You can reference the slideshow. So you need to make sure that you're keeping in touch with the Google Classroom and with your Arsonia. So I hope that that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask them. Does anybody have questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
How will we get our portfolios?
Okay, so this is actually a great question. So if you have something in the art room, I'm able to go to the art room. So if you have something in the art room that's yours, that belongs to you, and you want it for this summer, and you were able to go to the school and pick it up, then you can, I go to the school every Friday. Y'all know I live in Conway, so I have to go to the school every Friday to drop off work and to pick it up. That's the only time I go. And so if you have something that you want me to leave in the cafeteria for you, that's where they're letting people pick stuff up, then you can email me what you want me to get, and I can get it for you, put it in the cafeteria, and you can pick it up from 9:30 to 2:30 Monday through Friday. So if you have your portfolio, if you have like art supplies there, if you have an artwork that I have that you really want right now, obviously nothing's going to happen to anything that you have in the classroom as far as your artwork. I'm just going to keep it there. But I really, because y'all are 9th grade, like I'm not gonna have you classmates here, so you can either come back and get it next year, or I can give it to Miss Jones to give back to you. So it'll be one of those two things. Does anybody else have a question about class moving forward, or about the project I just gave you, or about the former project? And if you haven't uploaded that former project, you need to do it. I'm being a little bit flexible with with when that's done for this first week, because some people just realized that they had a project. And so like make sure that you turn that in. If you have friends that are in pre-AP art, make sure that they know what's up, talk to them, communicate with each other. Every project is going to be due on Friday, and I'm going to post the due date to the Google Classroom assignment as well, so you know. But everything's going to be due on Friday by what would be the end of the school day, and that's so because that's when things are due to the school. That's when I go to the school, and that gives me time to create those PowerPoint situations where I show you guys the work next week. So does that answer most questions for y'all? Okay. I'm going to take a picture. We're going to take a selfie. We're taking a class selfie. I don't care if y'all want to be in it or not. But Cadence, your name is going to be in there, so sorry. Saya! Okay. So email me if you have questions. Make sure you're uploading to Arsonia, not emailing it to me, or putting it in Google Classroom, so that I can keep everything together, and so that way I can keep up with our show at the end of the year, okay? It's really good to see you guys. I'll see y'all next week, next Tuesday, every Tuesday at 10:30. And have a really good day, life, rest of the week. Ending meeting.